Hello, this is a video about inequalities. Your learning objectives in this video are: first, understand inequalities. Second, you need to learn how to find the solution of inequalities. And then the last one is how to graph the solution of inequalities. Okay. First, let me give you an example of how you can use inequality in real life situation. Say you have a situation of bumper cars. It tells you that you must be at least 130 centimeter tall to ride the bumper cars. So for that sentence, it says at least. So it tells you a condition. Okay, and in math, you can represent this in symbols. At least can be represented by greater than or equal to. And so it is asking for a height that is greater than or equal to 140. That means that your height can be 131 centimeters. You can be 140 centimeters. That will be that the height should be taller, could be 130, or you could be taller than 130 centimeters. Okay, so let's go on and then discuss other important vocabularies. Okay, so what does an inequality mean? It means that it's a mathematical sentence formed by using inequality symbols such as the symbols that you can see here. So you see a less than symbol, and this one is a greater than symbol. You can also use less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So these four symbols represent inequality. Another word that you need to learn is the solution of an inequality, or the answer. Okay, so a solution in inequality is a set of numbers that you can substitute for the variable to make the inequality true. So on the past lessons that you have been learning, most of the time you only have one answer when you are using the equal symbol. This time, when you use all these four symbols, you may have more than one answer or more than one solution, and you'll see that later. Okay, another word or another vocabulary or phrase is the graph of an inequality. So for each solution that you have, you're going to graph them and show them visually how those solutions are represented in a graph. So it's a visual representation. So a graph of an inequality in one variable is a set of points. This set of points are the possible answers, okay, in a number line that represents the solution of the inequality. Okay, so these are the three phrases that are important in your learning for this video. Okay, let's start showing some problems. Okay, so let's learn about graphing. Okay, if you have an algebraic phrase or expression that says x is less than 2, you may represent this as, that means all numbers that for x should be less than 2 or smaller than 2. So you write a number line and you should represent that. Okay, you start with 2 because the given value to you is 2. But for less than, it implies that it does not include 2. So your circle should be an open circle, or I should say unshaded circle. Okay. Another example will be x is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay, so that means there are many values that could make this expression true. As long as the value is less than negative 1 or equal to negative 1, it includes as part of the solution. Okay, so all numbers less than or equal to negative 1. So we'll draw a number line again. This is how to graph. And because you have this bar here at the bottom, it means equal. Then that means that your circle here should be shaded. It implies that negative 1 is included in the solution. So from negative 1 going to the left, which represents the values less than -1. Okay. So another one is x is greater than 0. So this means x can be any value as long as it's bigger than 0 or greater than 0. So again, you have to draw a number line, okay? And then because this is greater than and there's no bar at the bottom, that means that your circle then is going to be an unshaded or open circle. So it starts with the reference number, the value that's given to you, which is 0. So you have the circle there on top of the 0. It's unshaded because it's greater than and there's no bar there. Okay, and to the right, because going to the right are the values that are bigger than 0. And you always have to have that arrow because it means that all the values at the right side. So that means it includes 5, 6, 7, on and on. Okay. Another example is if you have x is greater than or equal to -2. So if you have a bar here represents equal, that means it includes -2 as a solution. So it should be all numbers greater than or equal to -2. Because of that bar, when you draw the number line here, the circle on top of -2 is shaded, or we say closed circle. Okay, so from -2, because it's greater than -2, so you go to the right. So from there you should have an arrow because it also represents all the numbers at the right side. So take notice, whenever you have the equal to or the bar here, your circle is shaded, like the second example and the fourth example. When your inequality symbol does not include equal, it's just less than or equal to, notice that your circle is unshaded, or you may call it open. Okay. Now, after that, okay, let's talk about solving inequality. Solving inequality is not difficult. It's the same as when you are solving equality. And that's what you have learned before inequality, when you are solving one-step equation, two-step equation, and multi-step equation. The only difference is the symbol. In this part, you will see the equal symbol. But because this is inequality, instead of an equal symbol, you see a less than or equal symbol. Okay. So when you solve, it's the same step. Okay. So first, you are going to write the inequality, and that's just copying what's on top. Okay. Now, the same as what you have learned before, solve it as the opposite. Okay, this is -2, so that's +2 on one side. Add 2 on each side or both sides. So that means in here, this will become 0. Okay, so then D is less than or equal to 3. Now, let's graph this. Okay, because you see the bar here, that means it's going to be a closed circle. So the circle is on top of 3, a shaded circle, and because it's less than, it's going to the right, to the left, sorry, going to the left. Okay, you may also check your answer, see if it's correct. Okay, now you may choose any value as long as the D, or the value that you will choose, is less than 3. Okay, so let's use 0. Okay, now D minus 2, we replace D by 0. 0 minus 2, is it less than or equal to 1? Okay, so -2. Yes, it's less than or equal to, it's actually less than 1. So your solution is correct. Okay, now another example is solve for 5 plus y is less than 13. The same as what you do in one-step equation. Don't mind the symbol. Okay, so 5 plus y is less than 13. because you have a plus here, so you do the opposite. So you go minus, subtract 5 on each side, so you will end up with y is less than 8. So graph it. Again, I remind you, you don't have a bar, it's now equal to, so when you graph this, it should be an unshaded circle on top of 8. So there you go. Because this is less than, so it's going to the left. Okay, now let's have another example. A minus 3 is greater than negative 5. Okay, I'm going to copy that one. Okay, and then plus 5 on both sides, plus 3 on both sides, add 3 to each side. So you will end up with A is negative 2. Okay, sorry, this one is an equal sign. So it's greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So when you graph it, okay, so that the circle should be shaded on top of negative 2 because this is greater. So it represents all the number bigger than negative 2. So that's to the right. Okay. Another example is 3t greater than 12. 3t means 3 times t. So you will write the inequality. You solve a multiplication problem by the opposite operation, which is division. So you're going to divide both sides by 3. And then t then is going to be greater than 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now, take a look. All you have to do, all you're doing is just copying or bringing down this symbol. Okay, so let's graph this solution. So then t is greater than without a bar. That means that your circle is unshaded. So on top of 4, unshaded, and because it's greater than, it's all values bigger than 4, so it goes to the right. Okay, now you need to be careful. Here's something that you need to remember, which is different. When you are dividing by a negative number, okay, here's a negative. 5 times x is less than 20. So to undo this, you're going to divide both sides by negative 5 because you are dividing both sides by a negative number. What you're going to do is change the symbol to its opposite. So this time, instead of less than, it becomes greater than. Now, remember, you only do this when you are dividing by a negative number. So notice that the sign has been changed. Now, is it the same in multiplying? Let's see. Okay, now, when the problem is negative x divided by 5, okay, greater than 2, you will end up with multiplying. Because you want to undo a negative, you're going to multiply both sides by a negative 5. Negative 5. Because you did that, then that means that you are going to change the symbol to its opposite. So instead of greater than, you are going to do less than here. So remember, you only do the change of sign when you are multiplying or dividing a negative number. Okay, so the video now is over and done. If you are still confused, will you please go back and watch the video again. This time, whenever an example is given to you, do it on your own, graph it, solve the problem, keep graphing, and then understand. Now, there's an exercise, independent exercise that will be given to you. Okay, by grade 7.